In every generation, people search for wisdom. They read books, attend lectures, and listen to speakers who promise success, happiness, and peace of mind. Many people believe that the secret of wisdom is learning powerful words, learning clever responses, and learning how to speak better than others. But one of the greatest secrets of human understanding is much simpler true. Wisdom often begins when a person learns to speak less. Modern life is filled with noise. People speak in meetings. People speak on phones. People speak on social media. Everyone wants to share opinions, explain ideas, and defend their views. In this ocean of voices, many people forget a powerful skill. The skill of listening deeply and observing quietly. Speaking less does not mean becoming weak, shy, or invisible. It means becoming aware. It means choosing words carefully and giving space to understand people's situations and emotions before reacting. A person who speaks all the time only hears their own thoughts. A person who listens hears the thoughts of the world. This difference may look small, but it changes everything. Many conflicts between friends, families, and coworkers happen not because people are enemies, but because they do not truly listen to each other. They interrupt. They assume. They react quickly without understanding the full story. When people slow down and listen, something powerful happens. Misunderstanding begins to disappear. Trust begins to grow. Respect begins to form throughout history. Wise leaders, teachers, and thinkers have shared a common habit. They listened more than they spoke. When they finally spoke, their words carried weight. People respected their voice because they knew those words came from careful thought and deep understanding. This book is about learning that quiet strength. It is about discovering how silence can become a powerful tool for wisdom, growth, and strong relationships. Inside these chapters, you will see stories, examples, and life lessons that show how speaking less can transform the way you understand people and situations. You will learn how listening carefully reveals emotions that words sometimes hide. You will learn how patience prevents unnecessary arguments. You will learn how thoughtful silence builds trust and respect in both personal and professional life. Most importantly, you will learn how speaking less helps you understand your own mind. When the mouth becomes quiet, the mind becomes clear. Thoughts become organized. Decisions become wiser. Goal of this book is not to silence your voice. Your voice matters and your ideas matter. The goal is to help you use your voice with purpose and awareness. A few thoughtful words spoken at the right moment are far more powerful than many words spoken without reflection. As you move through the chapters, you will discover that understanding people is not about winning conversations. It is about observing, listening, and feeling what others experience. In the end, the person who understands the most is not the one who speaks the most. The person who understands the most is the one who listens with patience, observes with curiosity, and speaks with intention. The journey toward deeper understanding begins with a simple choice: speak less, listen more. Observe carefully. From that quiet beginning, wisdom slowly grows and life becomes clearer, more peaceful, and more meaningful. Your journey starts now. CHAPTER 1. The power of silence. In many places, people believe that the person who speaks the most is the person who knows the most. In schools, meetings, and gatherings, the loudest voice often receives the most attention. Because of this, many people develop a habit of speaking quickly and speaking often. They want to show knowledge. They want to prove intelligence. They want others to see them as confident and strong. But real understanding does not grow from constant speaking. Real understanding grows from quiet observation and patient listening. Silence is often misunderstood. Some people believe silence means weakness. Some believe silence means fear. Others believe silence means a person has nothing to say. Truth is very different. Silence can be a powerful form of awareness. When a person becomes quiet, the mind becomes open. Instead of preparing the next sentence, the mind begins to observe the world more carefully. Faces, expressions, tone of voice, body movement, and hidden emotions all become easier to notice. A man named Salman once worked in a busy office in a large city. He was known as a very talkative person. During meetings, he shared ideas constantly. If someone else started explaining something, Salman quickly interrupted to add his opinion. At first, his coworkers believed he was energetic and confident, but over time, people began to feel tired during discussions with him. Many important ideas from others were lost because Salman filled the room with his own voice. One day, the company hired a new manager named Kareem. Kareem was different from most leaders in the office. During meetings, he spoke very little. When employees presented ideas, Kareem listened carefully. He watched the speaker's face and body language. He allowed every person to finish their thoughts before saying anything. Sometimes the room became quiet for several moments before Kareem responded. At first, the employees felt confused by this silence. They expected quick reactions and long speeches from a manager, but slowly something interesting began to happen because Kareem listened carefully. People felt comfortable sharing deeper thoughts. Even shy employees started expressing ideas they had never shared before. Kareem would then respond with a few clear sentences that addressed the real problem. His words were simple but powerful. Every suggestion he made showed that he truly understood the situation. Within a few months, the entire office atmosphere improved. Team members communicated better, problems were solved faster. People felt respected and valued. Salman watched this change with curiosity. He realized that Kareem did not lead by speaking more. He led by understanding more. One afternoon, Salman asked Kareem a question. He asked, "How do you always know the right thing to say in meetings?" Kareem smiled and shared a simple answer. "You listen carefully, people will tell you the solution to their own problems." This idea surprised Salman. He had always believed that leadership meant providing answers quickly. Kareem explained something deeper. Many people do not need someone to talk over them. They need someone who truly hears them. When people feel heard, their thoughts become clearer, their ideas become stronger, and the path to the solution becomes easier to see. Salman began to experiment with silence. During the next meeting, he decided to listen without interrupting. At first, it felt uncomfortable. His mind wanted to jump into the discussion, but he stayed quiet and focused on understanding each speaker. For the first time, he noticed details he had always missed. He saw when someone felt uncertain. He heard when someone was trying to explain a hidden problem. He recognized when two coworkers actually agreed, but used different words. The end of the meeting, Salman understood the conversation more deeply than ever before. When he finally spoke, he shared only a few thoughts. Those thoughts helped connect the ideas of the entire group. His coworkers looked surprised. For the first time, they saw Salman not as a person who talks too much, but as a person who understands. The discussion, this experience, taught Salman a powerful lesson. Speaking less does not reduce your influence. In many situations, it increases your influence. Silence gives your mind time to think clearly. Silence allows others to express their full ideas. Silence reveals information that fast conversations often hide. In daily life, many arguments happen because people respond too quickly. Someone hears a single sentence and immediately reacts with emotion. But when a person pauses and listens fully, the meaning often changes. A sentence that sounded offensive may actually be a misunderstanding. A complaint may actually be a request for help. A disagreement may actually hide a shared goal. Silence creates the space where these truths become visible. Another example can be seen in friendships. Imagine two friends discussing a difficult problem. One friend explains a painful situation in life. If the other friend interrupts quickly with advice, the speaker may feel ignored. But if the listener stays quiet and allows the story to unfold, the speaker feels respected. That quiet space, trust, grows stronger later. When the listener finally shares a thought, that advice carries more value because it comes after real understanding. Silence also teaches patience. When people learn to wait before speaking, they gain control over their emotions. Anger becomes easier to manage. Impulsive words become easier to avoid. Many people regret things they say in moments of frustration. Words spoken in anger can damage relationships for years. Silence acts like a protective shield. It gives the mind time to calm down before the mouth reacts. The power of silence is not about refusing to speak. It is about choosing the right moment and the right words. People understand that communication is not a competition of voices. Communication is a process of understanding. Person who understands the most is often the quiet observer in the room. This quiet observer gathers information, studies emotions, and waits for the right moment to speak. When that moment arrives, their words are clear, thoughtful, and meaningful. Learning to use silence in this way takes practice. At first, it may feel strange, especially for people who are used to speaking quickly. But over time, the mind becomes comfortable with quiet observation. The reward for this practice is great better understanding, stronger relationships, clearer thinking, and wiser decisions. The journey toward understanding people and the world begins with a simple step. Allow silence to become your teacher. In that quiet space, the mind learns to see what constant talking often hides, and as this skill grows, you will discover that sometimes the most powerful voice in a conversation is the voice that speaks the least but understands the most. Chapter 2. Listening as a supabod. Many people think listening is a simple activity. They believe listening only means hearing the sound of another person's voice, but real listening is much deeper than hearing words. Real listening means giving full attention to another human being. It means observing the tone of voice, the emotion behind the words, and the meaning that may not be spoken directly. In a world where everyone wants to talk, the person who truly listens becomes rare and valuable. Listening carefully is almost like having a special power. It allows a person to understand situations that others completely miss. A young teacher named Hamza once started working at a school where many students struggled with discipline. The classroom was often loud. Students interrupted each other, and arguments happened almost every day. Many teachers in the school responded to this behavior by speaking loudly and giving strict orders. They believed strong control required strong voices. Hamza tried something different on his first day. He noticed that the students expected him to start shouting instructions like other teachers. Instead, Hamza calmly greeted the class and asked the students to share something about themselves. As each student spoke, Hamza listened carefully. He did not interrupt. He did not judge. He simply listened. At first, the students were confused. They were not used to a teacher who wanted to hear their thoughts. But slowly, they began to open up. One student explained that he often felt angry because of problems at home. Another student said she felt invisible because no one ever asked about her ideas. Hamza continued listening over the next few weeks. He used this habit every day. Before solving problems, he listened to the students involved. Before giving advice, he allowed them to explain their feelings completely. Something remarkable began to happen. Students who usually created trouble began to calm down. They realized that someone in the classroom actually cared about their voice. When people feel heard, they feel respected. When people feel respected, they behave with more responsibility. Hamza did not solve every problem with long speeches. Often his greatest tool was patient listening. The students began to trust him when they faced challenges. They came to him, not because he spoke loudly, but because he listened deeply. Listening changed the entire classroom environment. This story shows an important truth. Many problems in life exist not because solutions are impossible, but because understanding is missing. Listening creates that understanding. In business, the same principle appears again and again. A successful shop owner named Farid once ran a small clothing store in a busy market. Many shops around him sold similar products. At first, Farid tried to compete by talking more than other sellers. He explained every detail of his clothes to customers, but most customers seemed impatient and walked away quickly. One day, Farid noticed an older shopkeeper across the street. That shopkeeper spoke very little. When a customer entered the store, the shopkeeper asked a few simple questions. Then he listened carefully to the answers. If a customer explained a preference for comfortable clothes, the shopkeeper quietly showed soft fabrics. If someone explained they needed something for a special event, he showed elegant designs. Farid realized the difference. Successful shopkeeper did not try to impress customers with long explanations. He listened to their needs first. Farid decided to change his approach. When customers entered his shop, he greeted them politely and asked what they were looking for. Then he focused on listening as customers described their preferences. Farid paid attention to every detail. Because of this listening, he began offering products that truly matched their needs. Customers felt understood, and many returned again and again. Farid discovered that listening was more powerful than persuasion in friendships. Listening also plays a powerful role. Imagine a situation where a friend shares a difficult personal problem. If you quickly interrupt with advice, the friend may feel like you are not truly hearing the pain, but if you remain patient and allow the friend to express everything, the emotional burden becomes lighter. Sometimes people do not need solutions immediately. Sometimes they simply need someone who understands their feelings. Listening creates emotional support without requiring complicated words. Another example can be seen in family relationships. Parents often try to guide their children with many instructions, but children also need to feel heard. A father named Tariq once struggled to communicate with his teenage son. Whenever the son tried to explain something, Tariq immediately gave lectures about responsibility and discipline. Because of this, the son stopped sharing personal thoughts. One evening, Tariq decided to try something different. When his son began talking about school problems, Tariq simply listened. He did not interrupt. He did not correct every sentence. He listened fully. For the first time, his son shared feelings of pressure, fear, and confusion about the future. Tariq realized that his son did not need constant correction. He needed understanding. That moment changed their relationship. Through listening, Tariq became not only a parent, but also a trusted guide. Listening also improves decision-making. When people rush to speak, they often act on incomplete information. Important details remain hidden because no one takes time to hear the full story. A patient listener gathers more information before forming conclusions. Habit leads to wiser decisions in both personal and professional life. Listening also trains the mind to become calmer. When a person focuses on understanding another voice, the mind becomes less occupied with ego and self-importance. Instead of thinking about what to say next, the listener becomes curious about what is being shared. Curiosity is the foundation of learning. More a person listens, the more knowledge enters the mind. Listening also improves communication skills in an unexpected way. Many people believe that speaking practice creates better speakers, but the best speakers in the world are often excellent listeners first because they listen carefully. They understand what audiences care about. They choose words that connect with real emotions and experiences. Their speech becomes meaningful because it is based on understanding rather than assumption. Listening is therefore not passive behavior. It is active awareness. It requires attention, patience, and empathy. When practiced consistently, listening becomes a powerful habit that improves every relationship. People trust listeners. People respect listeners. People feel comfortable around listeners. In a noisy world where everyone tries to express their own voice, the person who truly listens becomes a rare and valuable presence. Learning to listen deeply transforms communication from simple talking into real understanding, and as this skill grows, the mind begins to see the world with greater clarity and wisdom. This is why listening can truly be called a superpower. A quiet superpower that opens the door to deeper connection, knowledge, and understanding of human nature. CHAPTER 3. The habit of pausing before speaking. Many people believe that quick answers show intelligence. In conversations, people often rush to respond because they want to appear confident and knowledgeable. When someone asks a question, the mind quickly searches for words. When someone shares an opinion, the mind prepares a reply immediately. This habit of instant reaction is very common in modern life. Quick responses often create misunderstanding, mistakes, and unnecessary conflict. The habit of pausing before speaking is one of the most powerful skills a person can develop. A pause may last only a few seconds. Yet those few seconds give the mind time to think clearly. During that short moment, the mind can examine the situation more carefully. It can choose words wisely instead of reacting with emotion. This small habit creates a huge difference in communication. A young employee named Imran once worked in a technology company where teamwork was very important. The office environment was fast and people often spoke quickly during meetings. When someone suggested an idea, others immediately responded with criticism or disagreement. Because of this, many meetings became tense and unproductive. Imran was known for reacting quickly in discussions. If he disagreed with someone, he expressed his opinion immediately. One day during an important meeting, a senior manager shared a new project plan. Imran quickly believed the plan would fail. Without thinking deeply, he interrupted the manager and criticized several parts of the idea. The room became silent. The manager calmly explained that the plan Imran criticized was only the first stage of a larger strategy. The later stages would solve the problems. Imran mentioned that Imran felt embarrassed. If he had waited a little longer, he would have understood the full explanation. After that experience, Imran decided to practice a new habit. Before speaking, he would pause for a few moments. During the next meetings, he listened carefully and allowed others to finish their explanations completely. When he felt the urge to interrupt, he simply waited and observed. During those pauses, he often discovered that his first reaction was incomplete. Sometimes the person speaking answered his questions before he even asked them. Other times, he realized that his disagreement came from misunderstanding. By pausing before speaking, Imran began contributing more thoughtful ideas. Instead of reacting emotionally, he responded with clarity. His co-workers noticed this change. They started respecting his opinions more because his words were calm and well considered. This habit of pausing also reduces conflict in daily life. Imagine two friends discussing a sensitive topic. One friend says something that sounds offensive. If the other friend reacts instantly, the conversation may turn into an argument. But if the listener pauses and thinks for a moment, the reaction may change. Perhaps the sentence was misunderstood. Perhaps the speaker did not intend to hurt anyone. That short pause creates space for understanding instead of conflict. Pausing also helps control emotions. Human emotions can be powerful. Anger, frustration, and disappointment can push words out of the mouth before the mind fully understands the situation. Words spoken during strong emotions often cause regret later. A pause acts like a bridge between emotion and action. During that moment, the mind can calm down and choose better words. A mother named Nadia once experienced this lesson while raising her young daughter. One evening, Nadia came home from work feeling tired and stressed. When she entered the house, she saw that her daughter had made a big mess while playing. Paint, toys, and papers covered the floor. Nadia felt immediate frustration and wanted to shout, but she paused for a moment before speaking. During that pause, she looked more carefully at the room. She noticed that her daughter had been painting pictures of the family. Colorful drawings filled the papers on the floor. Instead of shouting, Nadia calmly asked her daughter to explain the drawings. The little girl happily described each picture. What looked like a mess at first was actually a creative activity, because Nadia paused before reacting. The moment turned into a joyful conversation instead of an argument. This simple example shows how powerful a pause can be. Many misunderstandings in life happen because people react faster than they think. Pausing before speaking also improves professional communication in job interviews, business meetings, and negotiations. Thoughtful answers create stronger impressions. A person who pauses briefly before responding appears calm, confident, and thoughtful. This calm behavior builds trust, and respect. Another important benefit of pausing is improved clarity of speech. When people rush to speak, their sentences often become disorganized. Ideas appear scattered and confusing. A short pause allows the mind to organize thoughts before expressing them. The result is clearer communication and stronger understanding. Even great leaders use the power of pause. When leaders receive difficult questions, they often take a moment before answering. This pause is not weakness. It shows careful thinking and respect for the question. The audience sees that the leader values accuracy more than speed. Pausing also encourages deeper listening. When people know they will not respond immediately, they focus more on understanding the speaker. Their attention becomes stronger because the goal is comprehension rather than quick reply. This deeper listening strengthens relationships. Friends, family members, and colleagues feel valued when their words are truly heard before any response appears. Learning the habit of pause requires practice. At first, the mind may feel uncomfortable with silence. It may push you to respond quickly as usual. But with time, the pause becomes natural. Many people eventually discover that those few quiet seconds are the most powerful part of a conversation. They create space for wisdom, patience, and thoughtful communication. In a world where speed often dominates every activity, the ability to pause becomes rare and valuable. Pause protects relationships. The pause prevents mistakes. The pause transforms emotional reactions into wise responses. When you master the habit of pausing before speaking, you gain control over your words and your emotions. When you control your words, you begin to shape your conversations with clarity, understanding, and purpose. This simple habit is a quiet step toward deeper understanding of people and situations. Speak less, pause more, and allow the mind to see the truth before the mouth forms the words. CHAPTR 4. Observing what words do not say. Why human communication is not limited to spoken words. In fact, a large part of communication happens without words at all. Facial expressions, body posture, eye movement, and tone of voice often reveal more truth than sentences. People may hide their thoughts behind polite language. They may say everything is fine even when they feel pain or worry, but the body often tells the real story. A person who learns to observe carefully begins to understand messages that others completely miss. This skill becomes much easier when a person speaks less and listens more. When the mind is busy talking, it has little energy to observe details. When the mind becomes quiet, it starts noticing small signals that carry deep meaning. A young doctor named Samir once began working at a hospital in a crowded city. Many patients visited the hospital every day with different health problems. Samir noticed that some doctors focused only on the medical symptoms described by patients. They listened to the words and immediately prescribed medicine. Samir tried a different approach. When patients entered his office, he observed their behavior carefully. He noticed how they walked. He noticed the expression on their faces. He listened to the tone of their voice. One day, a middle-aged man visited Samir and explained that he often felt pain in his chest. The man spoke calmly and said the pain was not very serious, but Samir noticed something unusual. The man avoided eye contact and his hands trembled slightly. Samir sensed that the patient was hiding something. Instead of quickly giving medicine, Samir gently asked more questions. After a few moments, the patient admitted that the pain had actually been very strong during the previous night. He had minimized the problem because he did not want to worry his family further. Medical tests revealed a serious heart condition that required immediate treatment. If Samir had only listened to the words, the problem might have been ignored. Because he observed carefully, he recognized the hidden signals behind the spoken sentence. Observation saved the patient from a dangerous situation. This example shows how powerful observation can be in understanding people. Words sometimes hide the truth. Body language often reveals it. Another example can be seen in everyday friendships. A young woman named Aisha met her friend Sarah at a cafe. After several months, Sarah smiled and said everything in life was going well. But Aisha noticed that Sarah spoke slowly, and her smile disappeared quickly after each sentence. Her eyes looked tired and distant instead of accepting the polite answer. Aisha gently asked if something was troubling her at first. Sarah repeated that everything was fine, but Aisha continued listening and observing patiently. After a few minutes, Sarah finally admitted that she had been struggling with stress at work and feeling very lonely. She had hidden these feelings because she did not want to appear weak. Because Aisha noticed the signals behind the words, she was able to support her friend during a difficult time. Observation often reveals emotional truth. People may hide sadness, anger, or fear behind simple sentences, but their posture, facial expressions, and tone often reveal deeper feelings. This ability to observe becomes stronger when a person learns to stay quiet during conversation. Silence gives the eyes and mind time to study the environment. I imagine sitting in a meeting where several people discuss an important decision. Some participants speak confidently, others remain quiet. If you observe carefully, you may notice something interesting. Quiet person in the room may show disagreement through body language. Perhaps they lean back in their chair or avoid eye contact when a certain idea is mentioned. These small signals may reveal concerns that are not spoken aloud. A wise observer may ask that person for their opinion and discover important information that the group would otherwise miss. Observation also helps detect honesty and dishonesty. When people tell the truth, their body language often appears natural and relaxed. When people hide something, their movements may become tense or inconsistent. A person who listens quietly and observes patiently can notice these differences. However, observation should always be used with kindness and understanding. The goal is not to judge people quickly, but to understand them more deeply. Every human being carries emotions, experiences, and struggles that may not appear in words. Observing carefully, we create space for empathy. Empathy means feeling what another person may be experiencing. When we notice signs of stress, sadness, or confusion, we can respond with compassion instead of criticism. Observation also improves learning. Students who observe teachers carefully understand lessons better. Employees who observe experienced workers learn skills faster. Leaders who observe team members recognize strengths and weaknesses more clearly. Observation transforms ordinary moments into valuable sources of knowledge. Even in nature, observation teaches powerful lessons. A farmer named Rahim once trained his young son to manage their fields. Instead of giving long instructions, Rahim often asked his son to watch the land carefully, explained that the color of leaves, the movement of insects, and the pattern of clouds all reveal information about the health of the crops. The son learned that silent observation can reveal signals long before problems become visible. The same way, human behavior contains many signals that appear before words express them. The quiet observer becomes aware of these signals. Another benefit of observation is improved self-awareness. When a person practices observing others, they also begin noticing their own behavior. They become aware of how their body language appears during conversations. They notice when their tone becomes impatient or when their posture shows stress. This awareness helps improve communication and emotional control. Observation therefore becomes a powerful tool for understanding both others and oneself. In modern life, many people move quickly from one task to another. Phone screens and constant communication often distract the mind. Because of this, many important details go unnoticed. Learning to slow down and observe carefully brings back a sense of awareness that modern life often removes. When you speak less, your attention becomes available for observation. Your eyes begin to see more. Your ears begin to hear more. Your mind begins to understand more. Conversations become deeper. Relationships become stronger. Decisions become wiser. The world is full of messages that exist beyond spoken language. Those messages become visible only to those who take time to watch, listen, and understand. By developing the habit of observation, you open a door to deeper human connection. You begin to understand feelings hidden behind smiles. You begin to notice concerns hidden behind polite words. And through this understanding, you become not only a better communicator, but also a more compassionate human being. The quiet observer sees what loud conversations often hide, and that vision brings wisdom that words alone can never provide. CHAPTER 5. Understanding people through PATNEINC. Many people believe that understanding others requires intelligence, education, or special knowledge. But one of the most powerful tools for understanding people is much simpler: patience. Patience allows a person to slow down and give time for thoughts, emotions, and stories to appear naturally. People feel rushed. They often speak only the surface of their thoughts. Important feelings remain hidden because the moment passes too quickly. When patience is present, conversations become deeper and more meaningful. A patient listener allows silence to exist. A patient listener gives space for someone to think before answering. A patient listener does not force the conversation to move faster than the human heart can express itself. Man named Khalid once worked as a manager in a manufacturing company. His job required solving many problems between workers, supervisors, and clients. At the beginning of his career, Khalid that solving problems quickly made him an effective leader. When workers came with complaints, he immediately tried to offer solutions, but he noticed something strange. Even after giving advice, many workers returned with the same problems. It seemed that his quick solutions did not truly solve the situation. One day, an older colleague gave Khalid a simple suggestion: listen with patience before trying to solve anything. Khalid decided to try this approach. The next time, too, workers came to him with an argument. Khalid did not interrupt their explanation. He allowed the first worker to speak completely. Then he allowed the second worker to explain his side of the story. After both finished, Khalid remained silent for a moment. During that time, he realized something important: the conflict between the workers was not actually about the task they argued about. The real issue was that one worker felt disrespected and ignored during previous projects. Because Khalid listened patiently, he understood the deeper cause of the problem. Instead of giving a quick solution, he helped the workers discuss their feelings and expectations. The conflict ended not because of rules, but because both people felt understood. This experience changed the way Khalid approached every conversation. He learned that patience reveals the real story behind the first words. People speak often. The first explanation a person gives is only a small part of the truth. When patience is present, the full story slowly appears. Patience is also important in family relationships. A mother named Farzana once struggled to communicate with her teenage daughter. Whenever the daughter came home late or appeared upset, Farzana immediately asked many questions. The daughter often answered with short sentences and quickly went to her room. Evening, Farzana decided to change her approach. Instead of asking many questions, she sat quietly with her daughter. During dinner, they ate slowly and spoke about simple, everyday things. After some time, the daughter began sharing small details about her day. Farzana listened without interrupting. Gradually, the daughter started explaining deeper feelings about school pressure, friendships, and personal worries. The conversation lasted much longer than usual. Farzana realized that patience created a comfortable space for honesty. When people feel rushed, they protect their emotions. When they feel safe, they open their hearts. Patience is therefore not just waiting, it is creating an environment where trust can grow in friendships. Patience also builds stronger connections. Imagine a situation where a friend is trying to explain a difficult experience. The listener interrupts frequently. The speaker may lose confidence and stop sharing, but when the listener remains patient, the speaker feels respected and supported. Sometimes a person may take time to find the right words for their feelings. Patience allows those words to appear without pressure. Patience also improves understanding in professional life. A young lawyer named Saad once worked with clients who faced complex legal problems. Many Clients arrived feeling stressed, confused, and afraid. At first, Saad tried to guide them quickly by explaining legal rules and procedures, but he noticed that clients still seemed uncertain later. Saad changed his approach when clients visited his office. He allowed them to speak freely about their situations. Some clients talked for a long time about events, emotions, and fear. Saad listened patiently and took time to understand every detail. Because of this patience, he discovered important facts that were not mentioned at the beginning of the conversation. Those details often became the key to solving a legal problem. Clients trusted Saad because he gave them time to express themselves completely. Patience also helps people understand cultural differences. A world where people from many backgrounds interact, patience prevents misunderstanding. Different cultures communicate in different ways. Some cultures speak directly. Others communicate through subtle hints and polite language. A patient listener takes time to understand these differences instead of reacting quickly. Patience also strengthens leadership. A leader who listens patiently to team members understands their strengths, challenges, and motivations. This understanding helps create better decisions and stronger teamwork. Employees respect leaders who listen with patience because they feel their voices matter. Another important benefit of patience is emotional control. When a person develops patience, they become less reactive to stressful situations. Instead of responding immediately with anger or frustration, they take time to understand the full context. This calm approach prevents many unnecessary conflicts. Patience, therefore, acts like a protective shield in communication. It protects relationships from damage caused by rushed words, protects understanding from being lost in quick reactions. Developing patience requires practice. Modern life often encourages speed and instant results. Messages travel quickly, and people expect fast responses. But human emotions and human understanding do not follow the same speed as technology. True understanding grows slowly. It requires time, attention, and care. A patient person accepts this natural rhythm. They know that meaningful conversations cannot be forced. They must be allowed to unfold gradually over time. Patience becomes a powerful habit. People begin to trust patient listeners. They feel comfortable sharing thoughts that they might hide from others. This trust builds strong relationships in families, friendships, workplaces, and communities. Understanding people is not about asking many questions or speaking many words. It is about creating space for others to express themselves freely. Patience creates that space. When you practice patience during conversations, you begin to see the deeper layers of human experience. You understand emotions hidden behind simple sentences. You notice worries that appear between pauses. You recognize hopes that people struggle to describe. This deeper understanding transforms ordinary conversations into meaningful connections. Therefore, becomes a silent guide in this journey of speaking less and understanding more. Through patience, the mind becomes calm. Through patience, the heart becomes open. Through patience, true understanding begins to grow. And when patience becomes part of your communication, people feel safe to reveal their real selves. That is the moment when understanding becomes real and relationships become stronger than words alone can create. CHAPTR 6. Controlling emotions through QI. Human emotions are powerful forces. Joy, excitement, anger, fear, disappointment, and frustration move through the mind every day. These emotions influence the way people speak, the way they react, and the way they treat others. Many problems in relationships, work environments, and families happen not because people want conflict, but because emotions control their words. When emotions rise quickly, words often escape without careful thought. Later, people regret what they said, but the damage may already be done. Learning to control emotions is one of the most important skills in life. One powerful way to gain this control is through quietness. Quietness creates a small space between feeling and speaking. Inside that space, the mind can calm down and think clearly. Without quietness, emotions move directly into speech and actions. A young man named Rashid once worked in a busy customer service center. Every day he answered phone calls from customers who sometimes felt angry or frustrated about company services. The beginning, Rashid reacted emotionally. When customers spoke with harsh words, if a caller blamed him unfairly, Rashid defended himself quickly. If someone raised their voice, Rashid responded with equal intensity. These conversations often became arguments. Both Rashid and the customers ended the call feeling worse than before. One day his supervisor gave him simple advice: when a customer speaks with anger, remain quiet for a moment before answering. At first, Rashid thought silence would make him look weak, but he decided to try. During the next difficult call, a customer began complaining loudly about a delayed order. Instead of reacting immediately, Rashid listened quietly. He allowed the customer to express all the frustration without interruption. After the customer finished speaking, Rashid calmly explained the situation and offered a solution. Customer suddenly became calmer. Rashid realized something important: often people simply want to release their frustration. When someone listens quietly, the emotional storm begins to fade. If Rashid had responded with equal anger, the situation would have become worse. Quietness helped control both his emotions and the customer's emotions. This experience changed the way Rashid handled every conversation. Quietness also plays a powerful role in family relationships. A father named Nadim once experienced frequent arguments with his teenage son. Whenever the son disagreed with household rules, the discussions quickly turned into shouting. Both father and son felt angry and misunderstood. One evening, during another disagreement, Nadim remembered advice he once heard: silence is sometimes stronger than reaction. When the argument started, Nadim chose not to shout back. He listened quietly while his son expressed frustration. After a few moments, the son realized his father was not reacting with anger. The tone of the conversation slowly softened. Nadim finally spoke. He used calm words instead of emotional ones. The conversation became a discussion rather than a fight. Quietness transformed the emotional energy of the moment. Controlling emotions through quietness does not mean ignoring feelings. It means giving feelings time to settle before expressing them. Emotions are like waves in the ocean. They rise strongly, but they also fall naturally if we allow time. When people react instantly, they ride the highest wave of emotion. When they pause quietly, they allow the wave to pass. This pause protects relationships from damage caused by emotional reactions. Also helps people understand their own feelings. When someone becomes angry or upset, the mind often becomes noisy with thoughts. If a person steps into silence, even for a short moment, those thoughts become clearer. They may realize that the anger comes from stress, fear, or misunderstanding, rather than the present situation. Awareness allows more thoughtful responses. A teacher named Sana once faced a challenging moment in her classroom. A student accused her of being unfair during grading. The accusation surprised Sana, and her first emotional reaction was anger. She wanted to defend herself immediately, but she paused and remained quiet for a moment. During that pause, she looked at the student carefully and noticed tears in the student's eyes. Sana realized the student was not attacking her personally. The student was feeling disappointed and worried about academic performance. Instead of responding with anger, Sana asked the student to explain the concern. Conversation revealed that the student had misunderstood part of the grading system. With calm explanation, the confusion was resolved. If Sana had reacted emotionally, the situation might have become a serious conflict. Quietness created the space for understanding. Another example appears in professional leadership. A business leader named Harun often faced stressful decisions in his company. When unexpected problems appeared, many managers reacted quickly with strong words and pressure on employees. Harun followed a different approach. Whenever a crisis appeared, he took time for quiet reflection before making decisions. During those quiet moments, he reviewed information, considered multiple perspectives, and allowed emotions to settle. Because Of this habit, his decisions were usually balanced, and thoughtful employees trusted his leadership because he did not react impulsively. Quietness created wisdom in his decision-making process. Quietness also improves personal well-being. When the mind constantly reacts to emotional situations, stress increases. But when a person learns to pause and remain quiet, the body and mind relax. Breathing becomes slower, thoughts become clearer. This calm state improves both mental and physical health. Many meditation practices around the world are based on quietness. For this reason, teach people to sit quietly, observe thoughts, and allow emotions to pass without immediate reaction. Over time, this practice strengthens emotional control. Even simple daily moments of quietness can have powerful effects. Walking alone in nature, sitting quietly for a few minutes, or breathing calmly during stress, all help develop emotional balance. The ability to remain quiet during emotional moments is not easy at first. Human nature often pushes people to defend themselves, react quickly, or prove their point. But practice quietness becomes natural. People begin to notice that silence often dissolves tension faster than argument. Quietness does not remove your voice. It strengthens your voice by making your words more thoughtful. When you finally speak after a moment of calm reflection, your words carry clarity and purpose. People listen more carefully because they sense that the words come from understanding rather than emotion. This balance between emotion and quietness is a powerful life skill. It protects relationships. It prevents unnecessary conflict. It allows wisdom to guide communication in the journey of speaking less and understanding more. Controlling emotions through quietness becomes an essential step. It teaches patience, self-awareness, and compassion. Through quietness, the mind learns to guide emotions instead of being controlled by them. And when emotions become balanced, communication becomes more peaceful, more meaningful, and more powerful than before. Chapter 7. The strength of few words. Many people believe that influence comes from speaking a lot. They think long explanations, strong arguments, and constant talking make their voice powerful. But in reality, the most powerful communication often comes from very few words. A person speaks less, each word gains more value. Listeners pay attention because they know the speaker does not talk without purpose. Words become stronger when they are rare and thoughtful. A businessman named Adil once attended many professional meetings where people discussed new ideas and plans. During these meetings, some participants spoke for long periods, trying to explain every detail. Conversations became complicated and sometimes confusing. Gadel noticed something interesting about the company director. Director rarely spoke during the early part of discussions. He listened carefully while everyone else shared opinions. Sometimes the discussion lasted a long time before the director said anything, but when he finally spoke, the room became silent. His sentences were short, clear, and direct. Those few words often summarized the entire discussion and pointed toward the best decision. Everyone respected his opinion because his words were always meaningful. Adil realized that speaking less made the director's voice more powerful. People listened not because he spoke loudly, but because he spoke thoughtfully. This principle appears in many areas of life. Teachers, leaders, parents, and friends often communicate more effectively with a few clear words than with long speeches. A teacher named Hina once worked with students who struggled to focus during lessons. Some teachers in the school tried to control the class with constant talking and repeated instructions, but the more they talked, the less attention the students gave. Hina used a different method. Instead of speaking continuously, she explained ideas in short, simple sentences. After giving instructions, she allowed moments of silence for students to think. When students asked questions, she answered clearly without unnecessary explanation. Because her words were simple and direct, the students understood lessons more easily, respected her instructions because they were clear and purposeful. This approach also created a calm classroom environment. Students learned that when Hina spoke, the Words mattered. Few words can also carry deep emotional meaning. Imagine a situation where a friend faces a difficult moment in life. Sometimes long speeches about advice and solutions do not bring comfort, but a few sincere words, such as "I am here for you," can provide powerful support. Those simple words show understanding and presence. Human emotions often respond more strongly to genuine simplicity than to complicated explanations. Another example can be seen in leadership. During challenging situations, leader named Bilal once managed a team during a time of financial difficulty, and his company employees felt worried about their future, and rumors spread quickly. Many managers attempted to calm the staff with long speeches about company strategy, but the employees still felt uncertain. Bilal gathered the team and spoke only a few clear sentences, explained the situation honestly, and promised that he would work with the team to overcome the challenge. His words were simple, honest, and calm because he did not hide behind complicated language. The employees trusted him. Sometimes honesty expressed through few words creates more confidence than long, complicated explanations. Strength of few words also improves personal communication. When people speak continuously, their message often becomes diluted. Important points become lost among unnecessary sentences. When people choose words carefully, the message remains clear. Listeners, remember the key idea easily. A young writer named Zain once struggled to communicate his ideas in essays. His writing contained many sentences, but readers often felt confused. One day, his teacher gave him a simple challenge: express your idea using fewer words. At first, Zain found this task difficult, believed more words meant better explanation. But as he practiced removing unnecessary sentences, he noticed something surprising. His writing became clearer and stronger. The main message stood out because distractions disappeared. The same principle works in spoken communication. Few words require careful thinking before speaking. This thinking improves the quality of each sentence. People also perceive speakers who use few words as more confident. When someone talks continuously, it sometimes appears that they are trying to convince others or defend themselves. When a person speaks calmly with a few clear sentences, it shows confidence in their message. Confidence often appears through calm simplicity. Strength of few words also encourage better listening. When conversations include pauses and short responses, both people have space to think. This creates a balanced exchange of ideas. Long speeches often dominate the conversation and reduce opportunities for understanding. Few words create space for dialogue rather than monologue. In daily life, many misunderstandings happen because people add unnecessary comments to conversations. A simple statement may become complicated when extra opinions appear. Learning to say only what is necessary prevents confusion. For example, during teamwork, a clear instruction such as "complete this task by tomorrow" may be more effective than a long explanation filled with unrelated details. Clarity saves time and energy for everyone involved. Another benefit of few words is emotional control. When people feel angry, they often speak many harsh sentences. Those words can cause deep hurt, but when someone chooses to speak less during emotional moments, they reduce the chance of saying something harmful later. When emotions calm down, communication can continue with greater understanding. Few words also show respect. You allow others to speak and limit your own sentences. You create balance in the conversation. People feel valued because their voice receives space. Respect grows naturally in this environment. Learning to use few words does not mean avoiding communication. It means focusing on quality instead of quantity. Each word becomes meaningful because it is chosen with care. This habit requires practice. At first, people may feel the urge to explain every thought, but gradually the mind learns to select the most important message and express it simply. Over time, others begin to notice the clarity and calmness in your communication. They listen more attentively because they know your words carry purpose. Strength of few words becomes a quiet form of influence. It does not rely On volume or length, it relies on clarity, sincerity, and thoughtful expression. In the journey of speaking less and understanding more, this skill becomes extremely valuable. When you learn to communicate with simple, meaningful sentences, your voice becomes stronger, not weaker. Your message becomes clearer, not smaller, and people begin to respect the calm wisdom behind every word you choose to share. Few words spoken with understanding can change conversations, relationships, and decisions in ways that endless talking never could. Chapter 8. Asking questions that reveal truth. Many people believe that understanding others comes from giving advice or sharing knowledge. But one of the most powerful tools for discovering truth is asking the right questions. Questions guide conversations. They create space for others to explain themselves fully. They show that the speaker is being heard and valued. A question is not just a way to get information. It is a way to understand the deeper meaning behind words. A young psychologist named Layla once worked with clients who struggled to express emotions. Many clients spoke in general terms or avoided discussing difficult topics. Layla noticed that simply asking thoughtful questions changed everything. When she asked open questions such as, "How do you feel about this situation?" or "Can you explain what happened?" she discovered details that clients had hidden even from themselves. These questions allowed her clients to reflect and share deeper feelings. They felt understood because someone cared to listen. This principle works in friendships as well. Imagine a friend facing a difficult choice in life. If you offer advice immediately, your friend may feel pressured or misunderstood. But if you ask gentle questions that guide them to explore their thoughts, you help them see the situation more clearly. Questions can also prevent misunderstandings. A manager named Faisal once faced confusion in a team project. Two employees argued about responsibilities. At first, Faisal assumed one employee was wrong, but instead of giving instructions, he asked clear questions. Can you explain how you approached this task? What challenges did you face during the process? These questions, Faisal discovered that the disagreement arose from a simple miscommunication. Neither employee was truly at fault. By asking questions before responding, Faisal avoided conflict and solved the problem efficiently. Art of asking questions also requires patience. Many people answer quickly. When asked a question, they provide short responses without revealing the full story. A patient listener allows time for the speaker to think. Sometimes a pause after a question leads to a more honest and complete answer. For example, a parent named Rania once asked her teenage son about his school day. At first he responded with simple words, but Rania waited quietly and asked follow-up questions such as, "What was the most interesting part of your day?" or "Did anything surprise you?" Gradually her son shared feelings and experiences he had never mentioned before. Asking questions is also important in leadership. A wise leader knows that employees may not always share their concerns openly. Instead of assuming or instructing immediately, the leader asks questions that reveal the true situation. Questions like, "What obstacles are you facing?" and "How can I support you?" uncover information that might otherwise remain hidden. This approach creates trust. Employees feel that their opinions and challenges are respected. The right questions also guide learning. Students learn better when teachers ask questions that encourage critical thinking. Instead of providing answers immediately, teachers allow students to explore ideas and arrive at solutions themselves. This method strengthens understanding and builds confidence. Even in daily conversations, questions reveal more than statements. Someone shares a problem, a simple question, such as, "Can you tell me more?" helps uncover emotions and motivations. Also show empathy. They indicate genuine curiosity about the other person's experience. A person who asks meaningful questions demonstrates respect. They communicate that they value the other person's perspective. However, not all questions are equally effective. Closed questions that require only yes or no answers limit understanding. Open questions that invite explanation create space for meaningful dialogue. For example, instead of asking, Did you like the movie? It is better to ask what. Did you enjoy about the movie, or how did the movie make you feel? The second type of question encourages reflection and deeper sharing questions. Can also reveal hidden patterns. A team leader named Noor once noticed repeated mistakes in a project. Instead of reprimanding employees, she asked questions: what steps did you follow? What challenges slowed the process? What could improve the workflow? Through careful questioning, Noor discovered underlying issues in communication and resources. Project improved because the questions uncovered the real problem. Asking questions also strengthens relationships. People feel valued when someone seeks to understand them through thoughtful inquiry. They feel respected because their perspective is taken seriously. Even small questions in daily life create this effect. How was your day? What made you happy today? Is there anything you want to share? These questions show attention and care. They build trust slowly over time. Asking questions is, therefore, a skill that requires thoughtfulness and patience. It is not about interrogating or testing someone. It is about creating a space where truth can appear naturally when combined with listening and observation. Questions become even more powerful. They help uncover hidden emotions. They clarify situations. They reveal intentions. They guide conversations toward understanding. In modern life, many conversations fail because people assume or judge instead of asking questions. Prevent assumptions. Questions reveal meaning. Questions open doors to insight that words alone may hide. A person who masters the art of asking questions becomes a skilled communicator. They speak less because they know that the answers lie in careful inquiry. They understand more because they allow others to reveal truth through reflection. In the journey of speaking less and understanding more, asking thoughtful questions becomes one of the strongest tools. It creates clarity, it builds trust, it uncovers meaning, it transforms ordinary conversations into deep understanding. The right question spoken at the right time can illuminate a situation more than any speech or advice ever could. Chapter 9. Listening to emotions behind us. Humans often speak words that hide their true emotions. People may say everything is fine even when their heart feels heavy. They may laugh while feeling sadness, or act calm while feeling stress. Understanding others requires paying attention, not only to words, but also to the emotions behind them. A young counselor named Nawal once worked with clients who struggled to share personal experiences. Some clients spoke in general statements while hiding feelings of fear, guilt, or sadness. Nawal learned to pay attention to the tone of voice, hesitation in speech, and subtle changes in expression. One client, a middle-aged woman, said she felt okay while describing her family life, but Nawal noticed her voice trembled slightly and her hands fidgeted on her lap instead of taking the words at face value. Nawal gently asked, "What makes it hard at home?" The woman paused and then shared details of a difficult situation she had avoided mentioning by listening to the emotions behind the words. Nawal understood the real issue and was able to provide meaningful support. Emotions often speak louder than words in friendships. This skill can prevent misunderstandings. Imagine a friend saying, "I am fine," after a stressful event. A listener who only hears the words may leave the situation unchanged, but someone who notices the sadness in their expression, the tension in their body, or the quiet tone of their voice may respond with care and attention. This kind of listening strengthens relationships. Feel seen and understood when their emotions are recognized, even if their words suggest otherwise. In professional life, listening to emotions is equally important. A team member may say they understand a project task but express frustration through sighs or distracted behavior. A manager who notices these emotional cues can address underlying issues before they escalate. This prevents mistakes and builds a more supportive work environment. Emotions often carry hidden information about motivation, stress, or intention. When you listen carefully, You can detect patterns that words alone might miss, for example. An employee may repeatedly say, "Deadlines are manageable, but display tension." Or avoid eye contact. This indicates they might need help or resources to complete the task. Successfully listening to emotions also requires self-control. The listener must remain calm and focused, avoiding the urge to react to surface-level words. Patience allows emotions to reveal themselves gradually. A teacher named Amira once noticed that a student repeatedly answered questions incorrectly when she asked the student to explain. The student muttered that they understood, but looked nervous. Instead of correcting immediately, Amira remained patient and attentive to the student's expression and body language. Eventually, the student revealed that they were struggling with anxiety during class discussions. By listening to emotions behind words, Amira could provide support tailored to the student's needs, even in everyday life. Paying attention to emotions behind words strengthens connections. A partner may say, "I don't mind," but show disappointment through posture. Or tone. A friend may say, "It's okay," while tears quietly appear. Recognizing these emotional cues allows a listener to respond with empathy and care. Listening to emotions requires practice. It demands that you slow down, observe, and focus on the full context of communication. It also requires humility, acknowledging that words alone do not always reveal the whole truth. By combining observation, patience, and attentive listening, one can understand not only what people say, but what they truly feel. When emotions are heard, people feel respected, valued, and connected. This understanding reduces conflict, builds trust, and creates deeper relationships. The journey of speaking less and understanding more is incomplete without recognizing the feelings behind words. A few careful moments of attention can reveal more truth than hours of talking. Listening to emotions behind words transforms ordinary conversations into opportunities for insight, empathy, and meaningful connection. It is the bridge between hearing and truly understanding another human being. Chapter 10. The Art of Silent Presence. Many people think communication is only about speaking or giving advice. They underestimate the power of simply being present without words. Silent presence is the ability to stay with someone attentively without the need to fill the space with speech. It allows people to feel supported and understood without explanations. A young mentor named Ikra once worked with troubled youth in a community program. Many participants arrived feeling frustrated, anxious, or shy. At first, Ikra tried talking to them constantly, giving guidance and asking questions. She noticed that despite her efforts, some young people remained closed off. Then she experimented with silent presence during group sessions. She would sit quietly among the participants, listening and observing, without interrupting or forcing conversation. Gradually, the participants began sharing stories on their own. They explained struggles and hopes without prompting. They sought advice only after feeling fully heard. Silent presence gave them space to open up naturally. This principle applies in personal relationships as well. A friend who is grieving may not need words. They need someone who sits beside them calmly, listens, and allows them to feel without judgment or interruption. Sometimes, simply holding space for another person is more supportive than any advice or explanation. In professional environments, silent presence can also create trust and confidence during stressful meetings. A leader who listens quietly and observes the discussion often understands the full context better than someone speaking constantly. Their calm presence encourages thoughtful discussion among team members. People feel safer sharing ideas when they know someone is attentively present without rushing or judging. Silent presence also strengthens empathy by focusing entirely on another person without preparing your response. You connect with their emotions and experiences empathy. Grows naturally when you allow yourself to fully witness someone's words and behavior. A father named Omar once faced a challenging situation with his teenage daughter. She had been upset for days and avoided talking about her problems. Instead of insisting she explain immediately, Omar chose silent presence. He sat with her quietly during homework and meals, offering attention without pressure. Over time, she began sharing her feelings voluntarily. The trust between them grew because Omar's presence demonstrated care more than words ever could. Silent presence is a practice of restraint and patience. It does not require giving advice, solving problems, or filling empty moments with conversation. It requires awareness, calmness, and focus on the other person. Even in busy lives, moments of silent presence can be powerful. During a walk with a friend, simply walking together and listening without interruption can create meaningful connection in conflict resolution. Silent presence allows emotions to settle before reactions occur. It prevents escalation and provides space for understanding. People often underestimate the impact of presence. Without speech, they believe they must always respond or explain, but human beings sense when someone truly cares by their presence alone. Silent presence also benefits the person practicing it by remaining quiet and attentive. The mind develops patience, emotional control, and deeper observation skills. The ability to sit silently and notice nuances in behavior and expression enhances understanding in all aspects of life. The journey of speaking less and understanding more. Silent presence is a cornerstone. Shows that sometimes the greatest support and understanding comes not from words, but from calm, attentive presence. Being present without speaking allows others to reveal themselves naturally. It allows conversations to deepen organically. It allows trust to grow steadily. Silent presence is the quiet art of listening with the whole self. When practiced consistently, it transforms relationships, strengthens communication, and develops profound understanding in a noisy world. The calm, attentive observer becomes a rare and valuable presence. Their silence speaks volumes. Their attention creates connection, and their presence becomes a source of quiet power and wisdom. Chapter 11. The importance of reflexion. Many people move through life reacting to events as they happen. They respond immediately to conversations, messages, and challenges without taking time to think deeply. But real understanding grows when a person practices reflection. Reflection is the process of thinking carefully about experiences, conversations, and emotions. It allows the mind to organize thoughts, recognize patterns, and learn lessons from each situation. A teacher named Farah once faced a classroom full of students with different learning styles. Initially, she responded to each situation immediately, correcting mistakes as they occurred. Over time, she noticed that some issues kept recurring. Students struggled with similar problems despite repeated explanations. Farah decided to dedicate time at the end of each day for reflection. She thought about which teaching methods worked, which students needed more attention, and how her own reactions influenced the classroom atmosphere. Through this reflection, she discovered subtle patterns. Some students performed poorly because they felt overwhelmed, not because they lacked ability. Some lessons were unclear because of the way instructions were given. By reflecting, Farah adjusted her approach. She became more patient, attentive, and effective in her teaching. Reflection also deepens personal relationships. A young man named Hamid often argued with his siblings over small matters. After each argument, he felt frustrated and misunderstood. One evening, he began a simple practice of reflecting on the conversation. He asked himself, why did I react that way? What emotions were behind my words? How did my sibling feel during our discussion? By analyzing his own reactions, and considering the perspective of others. Hamid began to understand the real causes of conflict. He realized many arguments arose from assumptions and misinterpretations. Not genuine disagreement. Reflection taught him to pause before responding in future interactions. He learned that calm thought before speaking reduces conflict and increases understanding. Reflection is equally important in professional life. A manager named Rehan noticed that team meetings often ended with unresolved tension. Instead of blaming team members, he reflected on his own communication style. He realized that interrupting others, rushing discussions, and reacting impulsively prevented the team from fully expressing ideas. By reflecting, he developed strategies to create more balanced discussions, allowing every team member to speak and feel heard. Reflection also strengthens self-awareness. When a person examines their own behavior, emotions, and decisions, they begin to recognize patterns of thought and habit. They learn which impulses need control, which reactions are constructive, and which need adjustment. For example, a student who repeatedly struggles with stress during exams may reflect on their study habits, sleep patterns, and mindset. Through reflection, the student discovers the real obstacles and develops practical strategies for improvement. Reflection enhances decision-making as well. People who act without thought often make mistakes or repeat past errors. Those who pause to consider options, consequences, and perspectives make wiser, more effective choices. A businesswoman named Sana faced a challenging negotiation. Instead of reacting immediately to pressure from the other party, she reflected on her goals, the motivations of the other side, and possible compromises. Her careful reflection allowed her to negotiate a solution that satisfied both sides, creating long-term trust and partnership. Reflection also nurtures emotional intelligence by thinking about past interactions. A person begins to understand emotional triggers, both in themselves and in others. They develop empathy, patience, and awareness, which improves communication and relationships in daily life. Simple reflection practices can create profound results. Writing in a journal at the end of the day, thinking quietly during a walk, or reviewing key conversations before sleep allows the mind to process experiences fully. This mental review uncovers insights that immediate reaction often misses. The habit of reflection complements all other practices. In speaking less and understanding more, it strengthens observation, deepens listening, improves emotional control, and enhances the ability to choose words carefully. A person who speaks less without reflection may still miss opportunities to understand fully. Reflection turns quiet moments into wisdom. Through reflection, the mind learns from experience rather than repeating mistakes. The heart gains clarity about emotions, intentions, and values. The voice gains precision because each word is chosen with awareness. Reflection is not a passive activity. It requires honesty, curiosity, and attention. It requires asking oneself difficult questions without rushing to judgment. It requires patience to see the truth slowly unfold when practiced consistently. Reflection transforms communication and life. People become better listeners because they understand patterns in behavior. They become calmer because they recognize emotional triggers. They become wiser because they learn from each situation in the journey of speaking less and understanding more. Reflection acts as the bridge between experience and wisdom. It allows the lessons of observation, patience, silence, and listening to integrate into meaningful understanding. Through reflection, the mind becomes a quiet laboratory of human behavior, relationships, and personal growth. And when understanding deepens, the words that are finally spoken carry power, clarity, and truth. Speaking less without reflection is like looking at the world through a foggy window. Reflection clears the glass. It reveals details hidden in daily moments. It shows the patterns intentions and emotions behind words, and in that clarity, understanding grows, relationships strengthen, and life becomes wiser and more meaningful. See Hect PT Air 12. Learning from every conversation. Every conversation, no matter how small or ordinary, holds lessons waiting to be discovered. When people speak less and listen more, they begin to notice subtle details that are usually missed in fast or careless exchanges. A student named Zoya once realized she struggled to communicate effectively with her classmates. During group projects, she often spoke quickly, trying to contribute ideas before anyone else. She noticed, however, that her suggestions were often misunderstood or overlooked. Zoya decided to change her approach. Instead of trying to talk first, she began observing and listening carefully during discussions. She paid attention to the opinions of others, the way they explained ideas, and how they reacted to different suggestions. After a few weeks, Zoya noticed a remarkable change. She understood the discussion better than ever when she finally shared her thoughts. They were relevant, clear, and well-timed. Her classmates began to value her input because it reflected true understanding rather than rushed speech. Learning from conversations requires active attention. It is not just about hearing words, but noticing patterns, emotional cues, intentions, and context. Every speaker reveals something about themselves, consciously or unconsciously. By observing carefully, one can understand not only the message, but also the meaning behind it in professional life. This skill becomes extremely valuable. A manager named Cameron often attended meetings with clients and employees. Initially, he focused on expressing his own ideas quickly, thinking that speaking more demonstrated competence. Over time, Cameron realized that he often missed key information because he was too busy talking. He started listening carefully during every conversation. He noted concerns that clients didn't voice directly. He noticed disagreements between team members that weren't openly expressed. He began asking thoughtful questions, pausing before responding, and observing subtle cues. Through these habits, Cameron became more effective in negotiations, problem solving, and team management. By learning from conversations, he anticipated challenges and provided solutions that others had overlooked. Learning from conversations also improves personal relationships. A mother named Farah noticed that her teenage son often responded with short answers. Instead of insisting he explain everything immediately, she listened carefully. Over time, she noticed patterns in his responses, his tone and body language. Through patience and observation, she understood his worries about school, friendships, and personal struggles. This understanding allowed her to support him without forcing advice, building trust and closeness. Even casual interactions in everyday life offer opportunities for learning. A stranger in a store, a neighbor, or a friend may reveal perspectives, habits, or emotions that provide insight. When people speak less and listen more, they collect valuable lessons from every encounter. These lessons improve understanding of human behavior, communication, and relationships. Reflection amplifies this learning. After each conversation, taking a moment to consider what was said, what was felt, and what was unsaid allows deeper insight. Patterns become clearer, emotions become easier to interpret, and responses in future conversations improve. For example, a young employee named Emran noticed repeated conflicts with a colleague. Instead of reacting emotionally, he reviewed their conversations in his mind. He identified the triggers, the misinterpreted words, and the emotions behind them. Through this reflection, he adjusted his approach, leading to calmer and more productive interactions. Learning from conversations also fosters humility. It teaches that every person carries unique experiences and perspectives. By speaking less and listening more, one acknowledges that everyone has valuable knowledge and emotions to share. This mindset shifts focus from self-expression to understanding, which deepens empathy and connection. Even arguments and disagreements become learning opportunities when one listens carefully, asks thoughtful questions, and observes beyond words. The underlying issues become clear. Often, conflicts are caused by misunderstanding, emotion, or assumptions. By learning from conversations, a person becomes capable of resolving conflict with wisdom rather than force. The key to learning from conversations is attention, patience, and openness. Every exchange, even brief or ordinary, carries a message. Every speaker, consciously or unconsciously, reveals patterns, emotions, and intentions. By observing, listening, and reflecting, one transforms ordinary conversation into a source of insight and growth in the journey of speaking less and understanding more. Learning from every conversation becomes a lifelong habit. It turns daily interactions into lessons. It sharpens perception, empathy, and judgment. It strengthens communication, relationships, and personal growth. When every conversation becomes a teacher, understanding expands, the mind grows wiser, the heart grows compassionate, and every word spoken carries meaning because it is guided by insight gained through careful listening and observation. The journey of speaking less and understanding more. Throughout this journey, we have explored how speaking less and listening more transforms life. We have learned that real communication is not measured by the number of words spoken, but by the depth of understanding achieved. Speaking less is not silence born from fear or weakness. It is intentional restraint. It is choosing words carefully so that each one carries meaning. It is allowing space for thought, observation, and reflection. Listening deeply becomes a superpower. It reveals emotions behind words. It uncovers truths that are often hidden. It allows empathy, patience, and insight to flourish. Pausing before speaking, practicing silent presence, and observing carefully strengthen our ability to understand others. They prevent rash reactions, reduce misunderstandings, and allow emotions to settle. They create an environment where people feel safe, valued, and heard. Patience and reflection amplify this understanding by giving ourselves time to process experiences, analyze conversations, and learn from interactions. We grow wiser and more aware. We see patterns in behavior, recognize emotional cues, and make more thoughtful decisions. The art of asking questions, using few words, and listening to emotions behind words ensures that communication becomes meaningful rather than superficial. Each interaction becomes an opportunity to understand, connect, and build trust. Learning from every conversation transforms ordinary moments into lessons. Every human being we encounter has knowledge, experiences, and emotions that teach us something valuable. By observing and listening carefully, we expand our awareness, strengthen relationships, and cultivate empathy. Ultimately, speaking less and understanding more is not just a technique for better communication. It is a lifestyle. It is a mindset that values depth over speed, quality over quantity, and understanding over judgment. When we master this approach, our relationships flourish, our decisions become wiser, our words carry weight, and our presence becomes a source of calm, clarity, and connection in a world filled with noise. The journey is ongoing. It requires patience, practice, and self-awareness. But each step brings us closer to the profound truth that words are powerful, not because of how many we speak, but because of how deeply we understand before we speak. By embracing the practice of speaking less and understanding more, we discover the quiet strength within ourselves. We learn to see beyond words, to listen beyond sound, and to connect beyond surface appearances. And in doing so, we create a life rich in empathy, wisdom, and meaningful human connection.
Kindly subscribe to my channel.